Dr. Owenbrink here, reviewing the next aspect in our addiction series, spirituality and addiction, the interaction between the two. Spiritual and moral aspects of addiction. Addiction is a disease with much more than fascinating anatomy and physiology, pharmacology, and behavioral aspects. It's also very much a spiritual disease. Like any other disease, it's essential to evaluate and treat every aspect of the disease before it can be subdued and controlled. Moral aspects of addiction. There's a difference between religion and spirituality. Religion is the belief in and worship of superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. Ideas about the relationship between science and religion, a particular system of faith and worship, or a pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance. Spirituality, on the other hand, is a much broader concept with room for many perspectives. Extracorporeal simply means without a body, non-physical. In general, it includes a sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves. It typically involves a search for meaning in life. As such, it's a universal human experience, something that touches us all. This is transcendence, an existence or experience beyond the normal or physical level. Moral, this concept of spirituality is different and much more simple than religion. Agnosticism or atheism does not need to be an obstacle to recovery from addiction. All of the 12-step programs use the concept of a higher power. Some people choose God, some don't, and still get sober. This higher power is whatever an individual addict chooses it to be for himself or herself. It does not need to be God. The USSR adopted the AA program referring to GOD as group of drugs or drunks or addicts, despite their strongly professed atheistic state policy. Stanley Miller did an experiment demonstrating the possibility of creating organic compounds by applying energy to a primordial stew of simple chemicals. Carl Sagan once wrote that the odds against a specific human genome being assembled by chance is 1 times 10 to the 2 millionth power. It seems very unlikely that humanity came into existence solely by chance. Nature abhors a vacuum. There is no such thing as cold, it is simply the absence of heat. There is no such thing as darkness, it's simply the absence of light. Evil is the absence of good. We have all seen evil at one time or another. Evil exists. Evil has a source. The Judeo-Christian and Islamic religions agree on the existence of an evil entity or spirit called Satan, Lucifer, Iblis, or Jinn. The purpose of evil spirits, evil fallen angels known as demons, is to attack humanity and cause suffering. Thus, addiction may be thought of as a form of satanic attack, occurring at the level of the neuron membranes, receptors, and neurotransmitters, as well as many other areas. Most religions believe in the existence of a soul or spiritual force that each person possesses, something that lives beyond the physical death of the body. These souls are not demons. Demons are fallen angels that numerous religions believe in. Souls are the spiritual component of individual human beings, not to be confused with the purely extracorporeal, spiritual, angelic, or demonic beings. Since this is a disease with spiritual aspects to it, anything that improves the spiritual connectedness with this self-defined and perceived higher power will help the process of recovery. Addiction is associated, some may say caused by, a disconnect with the higher power. Ancient cultures conjured up various deities to believe in to explain the unexplainable events of their reality. It's been argued that this need to have a higher power of some sort is coded into our DNA, otherwise stated that we all have a God-shaped hole in our hearts that we often try to fill with other things, substance abuse, maladaptive behaviors, worldly objects that fail to fill the void that only a relationship with our higher power, perhaps known as God, can fill. Who hasn't experienced that undefined feeling better after going out of their way to help somebody in need? In the same manner, the uncomfortable in my own skin description often given by addicts resolves when they experience that deep joy from living in accordance with God's plan for their life. Persons with addiction and early recovery are often encouraged to go out of their way to help another suffering addict when they are under stress, feeling bad, and feel tempted to pick up and use again or relapse. It's been my experience that early in recovery, we are attacked with all sorts of temptations, all sorts of very severe consequences of our past and other stressors. I feel that this is a satanic attack that's trying to drive us out of the realm of recovery and back into the realm of the higher power that is evil, that is trying to destroy us. Satan, if you will. The longer we're in recovery, the farther away we are from that evil camp, the safer we are and the closer we are to the good camp, the less these attacks will occur. This is a process. Time takes time. And it's very important to keep in mind as you're going through the struggles of early recovery, trying to get away from the addiction, that the worst part of it is at the very start of it. It gets easier as you stick to the program and continue to heal. Questions for personal reflection from the spiritual model. How do I evaluate my life in terms of my relationship with God or a higher power? How do I evaluate my life in terms of my own ultimate values and beliefs? Am I living in accordance with what I believe is important? Do I devote enough time reflecting upon my values and my personal beliefs? The 12-step programs help to cultivate and strengthen that connection. Initially, prayer, transmission to the higher power, may seem very dry and non-productive. With continued prayer and meditation, reception from the higher power, and continued practice, that communication link to the higher power improves over time. The 12-step programs are associated with many short, pithy, and profound sayings that convey basic concepts of the program that lead to success for those who, quote, work the program, unquote, not to be confused with working, quote, my, unquote, program, whatever one feels will work for them at the time. It's a me disease with a we solution. Your best thinking got you here. Right actions lead to right thinking, feeling, and acting. Suit up and show up. Fake it till you make it. It works if you work it, so work it because you work it. He will do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. Moral recognition therapy, MRT, is an evidence-based addiction treatment aligned with this model. Moral recognition therapy is not well known. Conation is an archaic psychological term referring to our capacity for conscious and deliberate decision-making. This form of therapy is based on the outdated theory that addiction is simply a moral failing. Clearly, the science above shows MRT's failings.